everybody.
Hello.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday evening talk on X Potential. Hi, everyone on Facebook, if you're watching live. So we have just gone live on Facebook, and I'm certain that this will be recorded and you'll be able to watch back afterwards on YouTube. I can see my artwork on display. It's not mine, it's actually David Hockney in the background. Sorry if that's a little bit distracting. Let me put my screen down a little bit. So I hope you're all doing well and you've had a great day. This talk tonight is entitled X Potential, and it's an intro into the workshop that's going to happen later this month on the 28th of November. This is one of my favourite things to talk about, and I do say that often, but it really is, because I like to work with people on reaching their full potential. So I like to work with people on how they define who they are and their roadmap and their passions to actually make the life the one they really want to have. So if you haven't seen me already, my name is Gayle, and I'm a holistic life coach, holistic health coach and meditation coach, and I run coaching programs and meditation courses. And I have an online schedule with Illuminations coming up over the next couple of months. They're usually on a Monday night, the meditations. And we've got 3 or 4 interesting meditations coming up towards December. And then I've got this X Potential workshop happening at the end of November, which is a Saturday workshop. And I'll be in Dubai from next week. So you can book to see me in person, or come in to see me, or have a chat, or ask me any questions, or ask to meet me face to face at Illuminations, if that's what you'd like to do. I'll be there for approximately a month, and it'd be really nice to actually meet some of you. So why now? Well, I started running this workshop just last year, actually, when it was 2019 and we were approaching the year 2020, and I made a big deal about approaching this year because of the number, you know, the symmetricality of the number, and using it with the slogan, get 2020 vision for your year ahead. Well, we had no idea what kind of year ahead we were to have, but my topic and content still stands for 2021. Basically, it stood for 2020. It still covers 2021 because we need 2020 vision. We need to be agile, given that it's been a surprising year and it's had many twists and turns to it, an eventful year as well, and a lot of inner work amongst us has been done in this year. And so it's a talk and a workshop that I like to run towards the end of one year and the beginning of the next year. Because, why? Because it's a really nice time as it starts to get towards the end of the year to reflect on the year that you've had and the things that you have learnt and the things that maybe you could have done differently. If they happened again, how would you do them differently? And how to get a sense of clarity and perspective on what's just happened. And then from that point, you can start to define and chip away at who you are right now at this moment in time, you know, after the year that you've had, whatever kind of year that you've had, and then define roadmaps and ambitions for the you want to be in the future. So to start to inform yourself from your future self, rather than looking back, once you've had a look back at the year you've had. So you start to inform yourself by looking at the future self that you want to be, rather than from taking reference from your past self, which is the self that's already passed, the events that have already happened, just looking at it, remaining detached and observing what has happened, take the lessons from it, and then move on and start to inform yourself on what you want to be in the future. So it's a good time before everybody starts, you know, taking trips or moving around, or if you're celebrating Christmas. But definitely as it gets to New Year's Eve, it's a good time where people start to introspect. So this workshop really works well for those who want to assess, evaluate, define, and roadmap the next year. And that's why it also runs just as well at the beginning of the year in January. So I'll see if we can have another one running in January to adapt and tweak whatever you might have done in the first workshop. So, you know, I think a lot of us feel that there isn't a need to change. And I think more and more of us feel that there is a need to self-develop, constantly grow, and constantly try and make ourselves the best version that we can be. And sometimes that means looking at things that make us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes that means just looking at what's around us in our life and noting that they are reflections of the things that we've been thinking. But sometimes, you know, there's an opportunity to pat yourself on the back and see how far you've come. Because essentially, we all want to close the gap between where we are right now and where we want to be. And wherever we are, no matter what we've achieved, there's always somewhere else and something else in the distance of where we want to get to. There's always a new goal. There's always a new thing to have or to do or to experience or to be. And it never really stops. So the reason being is because we're in an expansive form of consciousness, we're in an expansive life, and it's about a continual growth. And I look at it from the perspective that it's a spiritual growth. And this is kind of one of the laws of the universe, that it's about expansion. So let's have a look, right? Let's just ask the question why we came here. Why are we here? Why are we here sitting in these bodies right now, in these, you know, flesh and bone blobs of flesh, with funny clothes on and funny coverings on our head? Why are we in this body? Why bother? Why bother if we talk about spirituality and a consciousness outside of the body and a wider, bigger consciousness of the universe? Why did we come into this body? Well, my perspective, and I can't say that, you know, it's just my perspective, it's a perspective that I've developed after lots of reading and exposure to really incredible teachers and spiritual leaders out there, that we are here to expand, we are here to grow, and we have come forth to enjoy the contrast in our environment. So if you listen to a lot of Abraham Hicks and lots of stuff about the law of attraction, they'll talk somewhat in those terms about coming into a body to have hands and feet, organs of action, to have senses in which to perceive a manifest 3D world in which we can play. But the play doesn't always feel pleasant, because in experimenting in things that we like, we're going to come across things that we don't like. And when we come across things that we don't like, we understand fully that we don't like them, and we know not to go for that anymore. So in fact, hitting ourselves up against contrast and things that we don't like helps us to define what we like and what we want to go for, what to shoot for, what to aim for, who to be like, who to not be like, what to do with our time, what not to do with our time. And usually this learning happens from experiential from an experiential process. So to elaborate on the kind of concept around the law of attraction, we live in a like attracts like universe, and everything in the universe is attracted onto something that is similar to itself. So everything in the universe has a vibration. Every particle, everything moves from left to right like this. It's just one common movement in the universe of vibration. The vibration just happens faster or slower, depending on the particle and the other particles that it's resonating with. But everything in the universe is vibration, everything without exception, and that's just physics, including us, and including our words, and including our thoughts, because these are energy, these are things, even though you cannot see, hear, taste, touch, smell it, these are still things, and they still have a vibration. So everything we do in this body throughout our life carries a vibrational frequency to it. And so we're like a radio transmitter. And we are transmitting 24 hours a day, except for when we're asleep. We're transmitting a vibration 24 hours a day, and it might be of a positive nature or a negative nature, but whatever it is, it will be vibrating out into the universe, and it will be met back with a like manifestation or feeling. So if you're someone who walks around expecting to have a bad day, I mean, I've given you a really crude example, and I'm sure you've heard things like this before, ideas like this before, is that if you walk around expecting to have a very bad day and the weather's always bad and you always lose your job and you always miss your bus and you always get dumped and you always lose your money and this always happens to me and I'm always sick, then you are just literally perpetuating the vibration that you're living right now. So you're programming your future. I guess another way to look at it, which I've heard used quite often recently, is that in this body, you're running a program. It's like a computer program. And actually, you, that you are right here, right now, is so much more than this physical clump of flesh. So just to give you an idea, you might be a speck of dust floating around in the air. I'm just hypothetically saying that there's a speck of dust here where my tip of my pen is. And that might be the size of your physical body, but the you, the larger non-physical self, the larger non-physical part of you is the size of the room. Just to give you an idea of the concept of the relationship between you, the physical being, and you, the larger non-physical being. Now, nothing in this universe, so we spoke about everything in this universe as a vibration and thoughts of things. And then the other thing I would say is that nothing of what you see around you in this world that we see as manifest is solid. It may look solid, but it's not. Again, it's just physics. If you were to zoom in with a microscope onto my hand, really keep zooming in, you'll see the pores on my skin, the hair follicles. You'd go in, you'd see my blood vessels, the cells inside the cells, you'd see the chromosomes inside the chromosomes, you'd see atoms, and then inside the atoms, guess what? It's space. You have a number of electrons, depending on the particle that it is, and then space. So have I got it here? Yeah, I have. One thing that I thought was really cool is that at my daughter's school, and this was probably when my daughter was about 7, a quantum physics teacher came in and showed the class this kind of concept that nothing in this universe is solid, that we're all just kind of energy vibrating at different frequencies. And she made the kids illustrate what different atoms look like, depending on what they were called. So, I mean, we got a cadmium atom, we've got a chlorine atom. I think you get the gist. This one is hydrogen, right? Hydrogen is just one proton and one electron. But that's essentially what everything around us is. It's space with electrons, and electrons are charged. It's just energy, basically. So nothing, this desk, the water, the wall, everything you see around you is not solid and is manipulated by vibration and moves with energy, so moves with sound. So with these concepts in mind, surely then we can start to wrap our heads around the fact that the life that we're living right now isn't confined to the limitations that we are taught that they're confined to. So thoughts are things, and all we have to do is tweak the program that we run, and the program is built in such a way that we inherit it. We inherit beliefs and behaviors from our parents and our peers at school and work colleagues, and the whole process of life growing up. We inherit all these sets of behaviors and ways of believing and ways of thinking. We cannot do this, we can't do this, we can do that, you won't succeed if you do this. Actually, none of that is real. They're just constructs of somebody's mind, but somebody's mind is actually a very mechanical instrument attached to our five senses. They're all they're great, but it's a mechanical instrument that makes our physical body function well. Our greater consciousness is far bigger than the mind. The mind is like it's like a computer. It's like a computer processor. It helps us calculate time and sums and our receipts and our salaries and the distance it takes to get to point A, and do I need a taxi, and how do I plan this and in what order. And it's good for mental tasks, but it's not good at wisdom and greater consciousness and connection and love and creativity. Our creativity, whether it be in artistic pursuits or in business, it comes from having a still mind. It comes from having the instrument still, you know, the brain still. Any successful meditation where you're in a channeling state is where you've actually cessated the actions and activities of the mind and let your larger non-physical self step in. And quite often it's referred to as a channeling state, but it's nothing, well, it is spectacular, but it's nothing cuckoo, because all it is just moving our monkey brain out of the way so our larger non-physical mind, our larger non-physical self and consciousness can give us wisdom and can give us intel or intelligence from the source of everything that is. So we are non-physical beings having a point of focus in a physical body, and it's a temporary focus. The larger non-physical part of us is unchanging and goes on for infinity. Comparatively, these are fleeting moments of these experiences we may have in a body. So what seems to happen is that when we come into a physical body, in order to function in the physical body and in the manifest third dimensional realm that we're in, which is a world where things appear solid, although none of it really is, because let's imagine we're in a matrix, okay? In order to function in this 3D plane and in this body, we have to associate with the senses that we've got, you know, by the sense of taste and touch and smell and eyesight and hearing and everything. We have to associate with those, and we forget. I don't think children forget. I think babies and children come with this still as a kind of natural innate ability, but they unlearn all this as they get programmed with nursery and school and TV programs and parents and everything like that. But, you know, we forget that there is this continual infinite flow source coming to us because we are within it. It's not like it's within us. So, you know, people would often refer to the soul as being inside us, being inside the human being, but it's not. It's the other way around. We're inside our larger non-physical self, but in this particle of flesh and bone, we've forgotten the bigger picture. So I've heard it described many times that actually dying is like waking up and just remembering who you really are. And it's often like a sigh of relief when you realize how expanded you really are. But the whole point of coming into the physical body is to do things that make you really happy. You know, let's think logically about this. Why did we come here? We didn't come here to suffer. We were not born to suffer, you know, and quite often we are programmed to expect a fair amount of suffering or hard work, or this is not going to be easy, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't, you know, and there are some people that swan all the way through life and are called the jammy ones because everything seems to just go well or click. And they haven't even given it a moment's thought. They've just grown in a family maybe where everything went well for everyone in their family and things fall in their lap because it's what they expected, because that's all they saw. But the trick is for the ones that chose or were born into families or were born into lives that were, you know, equipped with a lot of challenges, to really extricate yourself from that and rise above it and see that it isn't actually your lot. It's just what you've been programmed to expect. And what you expect, you will get, because it's what you think about. You will only ever get in life what you expect to get. And if you don't ask, and this is almost quoting an Abraham Hicks book title, if you don't ever ask, you're never, ever going to receive it. You've got to start by asking for it. So if we're here in this physical body, we may as well just go for it. You know, care less what other people think, because actually everyone's really just concerned about their own path. And actually, I would say that that's right. Because the most important relationship you'll ever have in your life is the relationship between you and you, the relationship between you and the larger non-physical self of you. Why is that the most important relationship you'll ever have? Because if this is not clear and clean and in a good relationship, you're going to be disconnected. And if you're disconnected, well, you can never really be disconnected. You can feel that you're disconnected, and that feeling is going to be like despair, loneliness, depression, frustration, anger, sadness, resentment. You're never really disconnected. You just forget that you have a connection, and then you become habituated to that feeling and expectation. But the reason why you have to tend to the most important relationship, you and you, is because when you do, you're in alignment. When you're in alignment, you're in a channeling state. When you're in a channeling state, you're in a good state. You're in a happy state. It means that when you're in a happy state, you actually don't need your yacht or your $1 billion or your perfect career. You don't need none of that, because the only reason you'd be going for those things, such as your yacht or your supermodel girlfriend or £1 billion in the bank, is because you think that the having of them will make you happy. So all we're actually after is that feeling of happiness. And why we're actually after that feeling of happiness is that's because it's what we came from, and that's our connection. And actually, if you start with aiming for that feeling of happiness, just feeling at ease and joy, even if you've got nothing else, you'll find that things slowly start to drop in more and more into your life, because you're taking a load off your shoulders and you're being nice to yourself. And your larger non-physical self wants you to be nice to yourself, because you're all one thing. So you can't possibly hope to have wonderful relationships with other people, be them work colleagues or prospective work colleagues or partners, intimacy or anything like that, until you've got the relationship between you and you sorted out. And if you've got the relationship between you and you sorted out, and you're in a really good place, irrespective of what your partner has just said to you, or irrespective of what your son or daughter or boss has said to you, it really doesn't matter what they've said to you, because all you really want is that good feeling. It's all about that feeling. But we all feel that we have to go through some kind of strife to get at that feeling, but it's not. You can get this feeling now. So this is why I like doing the workshop, because the workshop is the most part a day. Sometimes it's half a day, sometimes it's a full day. This is in between. It's like a 2/3 of a day workshop where we work through assessments and evaluations and passions and ambitions and attributes and values and definitions of who we are, and workshops and roadmaps, roadmaps. And then we look at what blocks you may have, and we also look at ways to remove blocks or obstacles. So you get well on your way to looking at what you can really do with your life. And you can, what I say to people is, when you start to formulate your current updated picture of what you really want to be, do and have, don't hold back. Right? There's really no need to hold back. Like, there's nothing for you to lose by just writing it down and visualizing as far as you can possibly take it, and making it as colorful and ambitious and like inspiring and as you can make it, because you came here for the experience. You came here to grow, and you came here to expand, and you came here to be your true self. You came here to be your true, authentic self without lying to anyone. I was a very shy child, and I remember, like, my cousins, when I used to hang out with my cousins, they were really confident and loud. And I never used to feel confident enough to speak up. And I spent a lot of my childhood and adolescence just trying to act like someone I really wasn't. Actually, only in close friendships would I be who I was. And, you know, often we do that in jobs where we're not really being people we really want to be, and we're not acting the way we really want to act. And then at some point you just think, I'm tired of this BS. I'm tired of, you know, not being someone who I really am. I may as well be who I really am, because that's the beauty of this planet and this experience we're on. We're each a unique source perspective with our own individual focus, and there is a grand poetry to everything that's going on, and to every soul that has chosen to project momentarily and temporarily into their own physical point of perspective. So, you know, who's to say that the son or the daughter that grows up that may be completely different to you, that it's wrong or right? You know, everyone has a unique expression and a unique fingerprint or footprint to make on this earth, and each one of us has a responsibility to come forward and to live our life in the way we really want to be, and try the things we really want to try without fear of being scorned at or laughed at, because actually, there's going to be an intelligence to it. There will always be an intelligence to it when you follow your internal passions, because when you're talking about things that make you feel happy or give you positive butterflies, that's your larger non-physical self communicating to you, telling you you're on the right track. So anytime you get that butterfly feeling in your stomach, or a light bulb moment, they're inspired spiritual moments of messages dropping in from your higher self that let you know, using your emotional guidance system, that you're on the right track. And I don't know if you've heard about the emotional guidance system, but it's the way that the larger non-physical self communicates to you. It won't communicate using an alphabet or any other way. It communicates in vibration. And vibration is emotion in the body. And if we look at it like a scale, you know, a long vertical line, you know, the feelings at the top are going to be joy and elation. The feelings at the bottom are going to be like despair, a bit higher, a bit anger, a bit higher repentance. In the middle, you'll maybe get lethargy, boredom, and then it might go to hope, and then you know, feeling confident, feeling happy, feeling, and all the way to the top. But the greater you feel in life, the more you're aligned with who you are, and the more you know that's the taste of the feeling you want more consistently in your life. And the more you seek out experiences that give you that tingle, that make you feel like you're on a high flying disc, the more you're going to attract more of those experiences into your life. Now, I'm certain that you would have heard some of these concepts and ideas already. It's just that this is just really the right time to touch on these things if we're going to look at, you know, defining who we want to be for the next year, you know, because there's nothing you can't go for. And if you've got a little voice inside you, which is actually a large non-physical voice telling you, why don't you try this, or why don't you go and do that, or experience that, or learn that, then do it. So I wanted to share with you a little story. It's actually taken from one of Tolstoy's books. So Tolstoy, the story is called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. And it comes from a novel that was written in the early 1900s. Now, Tolstoy was a Russian author, and he's very revered. He's considered a legend by a lot of people, almost like a great spiritual teacher. And he's definitely very visionary. And he wrote many books, and one of the books was a book consisting of lots of short stories inside, and the last story in this book is called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. The story of The Death of Ivan Ilyich is about a judge in Moscow in the early 1900s who went back and forth to work every day, trudging along in the cold weather, doing what he was programmed to do as a judge. And he was doing what he was programmed to do in terms of what he thought his ambition should be, and what he should be achieving, and how he should be accumulating things with his life of being a judge. But not only did he hate what he did, and he was completely miserable, he also hated his wife, because he felt that she was responsible for making him do what he did, for keeping him in that position, for pressuring him by saying, you know, you cannot give up this, you know, high status job and all the money that this brings us. And so he felt that she stopped him from fulfilling his what might have been a completely different destiny altogether. So anyway, as the name of the book suggests, The Death of Ivan Illich. At the end of the book, Ivan Illich is going to die. He's going to die. So the last part of the story is in his deathbed, and he's laying in his bed, and he's holding his wife's hand. She's sitting beside him, and he's holding his wife's hand, and he looks up into her eyes and says to her, "What if my whole life has been wrong?" And then he closes his eyes, and then he dies. So the message, the very last message of this story is very powerful, because it just ends like that. You know, what if my whole life has been wrong? To suggest that a very well-respected man who'd reached a certain level in society, by all intents and purposes, he was successful. You know, he was a judge, well-respected, and yet he questioned at the point of his death, like he had total clarity, what if my whole life has been wrong? Is quite a poignant message. And really, it's one where you don't want to die with your music still inside of you. You know, you definitely don't want that to happen. You've got one unique shot in this physical focus, this physical perspective that you've got, and you really want to get everything out that's inside. You've got to try everything. I've always wanted to try that. It may go wrong. Expect some failures, right? That's part of the growth, because in the process of the failure, you'll find it's a complete toolkit to everything you actually do want, right? That's going to make you completely fulfilled and happy. Because in the trial and error of everything, you just keep defining yourself into higher and higher and higher vibration and greater self-development. And what comes from that is actually true happiness, true honesty, true authenticity, and true alignment with yourself. And that is actually the best ambition one could go for in their life, I'd say. So let us do a short meditation, a few minutes. So wherever you are, hopefully you're in a comfortable place, just close your eyes and relax the shoulders. And this is a meditation on the sense of self. So let the shoulder blades fall down the back. Take a few deeper breaths in and out through the mouth, like almost as if they're sighs. And become aware of the physical body, just being like the heavy clump of flesh that it is, just heavy in the chair. Allow gravity to just take over a bit, gravity to take over your mind, and just start to feel heavy and heavy in your arms and your legs and your feet. And then become aware of the whole body. The whole body as if it's a case, as if it's a shell. Just from the top of your head, the shape of your head. And then the kind of physical shape, if you can visualize this in your mind's eye, your whole body, you know, the shape of your torso, the size of your torso, because it's just like a mass. And the shape and position of your arms and hands hanging down. And the shape of the legs and feet. Just think of it as like negative space or mass. This is your vehicle, this is your clump of flesh for you to fun and frolic around in this life, to go for everything you want to go for. And now, see if you can just have an awareness of you sitting in the chair, almost like you're watching you from above or from behind. Just have an awareness of the you sitting in the chair, which is just an adult version of you, because you're still the same energy and soul that was you as a little boy or little girl, a child you, but now you're in a large adult size. Just have an awareness of observing yourself and the size and shape that you are in this physical form. And then get a sense that the consciousness watching you is an extremely much larger you. So get a sense of a huge energy field, a huge circle around you that your physical body is sitting within. There is a huge circle of energy that is around your physical body. That is yourself. That is you, your larger non-physical part of you. And see if you can feel more into the sheer size. Allow the feeling of the skin, the sheath that wraps the internal you and separates the physical you to the larger non-physical you. Just become aware of that feeling like a fine mesh now. That skin is just a fine mesh, permeable because there's energy inside you and much larger non-physical you energy outside of you. And then note to yourself that none of this you're seeing with your physical eyes. This is all using your consciousness, your third eye, your pineal gland, which is the instrument of consciousness, which is the instrument of seeing beyond what the five senses can see. And then with this awareness of the larger non-physical you, just say, I love you, silently in your mind to yourself. And then bring your awareness back into your head, to the center of your head. Bring your awareness to the point midway between your eyebrows. Become aware of that source of energy, the large non-physical you, just inside your body as well. And then just finally bring your awareness to your heart center. Bring your awareness back into the heavy body. Become aware of the gravity, pulling your body down into the chair. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. Yes, hope that was okay. There's so much to talk about, even on this little talk. There's a little exercise now I'd like you to do, and if you have pen and paper to hand, that's great. You can use pen and paper. If you don't worry. Okay, but I want you to think through this in your mind. And this is borrowed from Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this principle I'm going to talk about now, which is the exercise we're going to do, is start with the end in mind. Now, what we mean by that is start by looking at how you want to be remembered by everyone around you. So let's paint a picture. It might sound a bit morbid at first, but here's the picture. Start with the end in mind. So let's say you've had a lovely life, you come to the end of life and you've now died, okay? And this is your funeral. And at your funeral, there's pretty much everyone you've ever known coming to this funeral, okay? So one by one, people come up to you, laying there to pay their respects. And you start off with members of the community. They come up one by one and they give their respects and they say thanks. If you have a pen and a paper now, this is where it's good to make notes. But what I ask you to ask yourself right now is, how would you want to be known and remembered to members of the greater community. What kind of legacy would you want to leave so that you're known by the community? Make a mental note or make notes on your phone or on paper. And then next up to pay their respects are people that you worked with, colleagues. People that you work with, what would you want them to say about you? Because obviously different relationships we have in our life, you know, we behave in different ways and we mean different things to different people. So just take time to note how you'd like to be remembered by the people that you worked with. And then let's have the bosses that you've had come up and pay their respects. How would you want to be remembered by them? And then let's move on to friends. So how would you want to be remembered by your friends? Your friends at large, and then how would you want to be remembered by your special friends, your best friends? What qualities? And then let's zoom into family. Your grandparents come up and pay their respects. How would you want to be remembered by them? Uncles, aunties, brothers, sisters, parents. And then last of all, your children come up and pay their respects. How do you want to be remembered to them? And of course you could add grandchildren. So this is giving a sense of perspective. It washes away, this exercise washes away all the things of, you know, I want to buy that car, or I want to go on this particular holiday. And it really cuts to the chase of who do you really want to be in this life, to the people that matter to you. And I hope this gives you a sense of understanding that actually the joy that can come from being the person you really want to be can outlive any material thing. Not that they don't bring joy too. I'm not saying that, you know, why can't we have it all? And I'm saying that we can have it all if we can learn to dwell in a place of authenticity and alignment, because as soon as we do, things will just start falling in our lap. It's a law of the universe. It's a like attract like universe. You get what you think of. You get how you behave. You get how you get in life, how you project yourself into the world. What you broadcast as a radio transmitter is what you receive. So you need to start broadcasting first the person you really want to be to all these groups, all these kinds of people, and how you want to approach your projects. And then it will just become a perpetuating thing in a physics-based, vibrational-based universe where everything in the universe has a vibration, is just a particle or atom moving like this. And nothing is solid, everything is moved and shaped by energy. When you can master how you shape your own energy, then you start to master your life. When you start to tap into your full potential, it's an irresistible, infectious growth because the more you start doing the things that excites you, the more that excitement triggers the emotional vibration that goes out into the universe and broadcasts out, and it can only meet you with like. And the more you get excited, the more exciting things come. The more you pursue new things, the more ideas come. The more you get excited by pursuing new ideas. Who knows, the point A that you're at now is going to take you to the point B that you actually want, because along the way between point A and point B, you're probably going to make so many discoveries and realizations that you may not actually want that. You may want something that you hadn't even conceived of at this point, something far more amazing and better. But you only get there by acting on your excitement, by acting on the butterflies and not suppressing them and not pushing them down. So I want you to note down now, phone, head or book, 5 things that you love. 5 things that you love. 5 passions. And then keep those in mind, especially if you're going to do the workshop. There's nothing you can't be, do or have. And the most common reason people usually use for not getting the things that they want is because they say they don't have the resources. They complain of a lack of resources, but there's never a lack of resources. We're in an abundant universe where things are manifested from energy and thoughts. So what you believe you can have, even the resources that you feel you may not have. So maybe not enough time, not enough money, not enough health, too many responsibilities. You know, we all like to use them, but they're actually excuses. Sometimes we just need to just be brave and not be scared of our own success, because we could be really exhilarated and we can have stability and exhilaration at the same time. It's not that our life becomes all in turmoil. We can have a life exactly the way we want to construct it. And this is why it's such an exciting topic. Anyway, I think that's enough chatting from me. Questions? Does anyone have any questions about what we've spoken about today, or the exercises, or perhaps the workshop? Everyone's quiet tonight. I hope that means you liked it. Okay, I think what I should do is tell you the price of the workshop. I believe it's being advertised for $699, but I've been told that the first 3 participants have an early bird sign up of $499. Okay, yeah, hi Zaina, hope you're well. Haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, the workshop details are on the website. There's a bit of blurb. The last I checked with the blurb, it may have been updated, but they took some of my old copy, or I gave them on copy, and it was saying it was spread out over 2 evenings. It's not. It's a Saturday day, and it's from 10 to 4, I believe, on Saturday, the 28th of November. And the day goes really fast. I mean, obviously, I'm going to give you tea breaks and lunch break. It's actually an online event, even though I'm going to be in Dubai, but there'll be other events where I'll be live, but this is an online event. So you can literally sit at home on a Saturday with your journal. I suggest it's with a journal and your pen, and, have your tea and everything. Like, it's a real kind of like, let's get next year, in focus, get the 2020 vision for 2021. Yes, that's it. Any last questions, anyone? Is there anything that someone didn't understand? Is there anything that was just I was talking too fast on, or everyone understand? Okay. Well, on that note, I'll sign off. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you all at some point, either online or face-to-face. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a lovely evening, and I hope it's ignited some spark inside you.
Thank you.
Positive. Yeah, thank you too. Lots of love to all of you. Take care.